लाइव में आ गया हूँ. Hello guys and welcome to Boomer Live in Live, and I hope you all are doing very well. As Indian team is still not out of the ventilator, you can say they're still not well and they're still breathing. That's the good part. Indian team is still breathing. That's a good thing that we're still alive in this game to a certain extent. You can say it's comparatively a better day in comparison with the last 2 days. So there's something more to talk than the last 2 days where we're dull as to what was happening with Team India. You saw a good innings from Ajinkya Rahane, a gritty knock from Shardul Thakur, a third 50 in oval. He loves playing here. Should have a stand in his name at the end of this Test match for sure. So Shardul really owns oval, and remember, every time he scored overseas 50, India has gone on to win
I
that
think
Test
even
match.
you have to say that there's already a stadium by the name of Shardul Thakur in England. It's called the Lords. So
Lords,
we don't
yeah,
need a stand at
absolutely.
Oval. We already have.
Yeah, well, I don't mind. It should be Lord Shardul Stadium for this as well. Let's give him two stadiums, guys, because he loves playing here more than in Lords. So that's one factor. I
Sure.
like that one. But and other than that, let's talk about the way in which how India played. And India's bowling has been still there and there, but Australia batted really well towards the late latter end. So you have to say at this point, this stage, Australia are in the driving seat. India are there, but not quite there. So tomorrow, India will have to ball really well in the first session to get complete hold of the game. But we'll talk about today's game first. Sandipani, what did you make? Especially Ajinkya Rahane playing that beautiful 89. He really gave India the chance to at least stay alive. Otherwise, this could have been blown apart in the first session, and we would have been talking about Australia near 500 at this point.
Exactly. I mean, if going a stint at the CSK was only the only thing that Rahane needed, I think I wouldn't have really minded if CSK went on to win 3 trophies if Rahane continues to bat like this. It was lovely to see, especially him take the attack on the bowlers because India rightly realized right after the start India had a horrendous start with KS Bharat getting dismissed of the first delivery that he faced. So 152 for six, and you are looking at close to 200 because I mean you have Shardul Thakur, Umesh Yadav, Mohammad Shami, but you can't really rely on them. I mean, at one point I felt that 200 was going to be difficult because the way the pitch was misbehaving at times and the bounce that Pat Cummins, Scott Bola, and Cameron Green they were generating off the surface. I think that was really difficult to tackle. So at that point, India really realized that the way to go about it was at a faster rate. They took the attack on the bowlers, counter attack by Ajinkya Rahane, especially that six of Pat Cummins that he hit, that hook shot to bring up his 50. I think that was when the initial momentum started to shift. Shardul Thakur, a lot of credit goes to him. I think Lord and all, everything is fine, but he really, I mean, really earned the respect of anybody who really doubted Shardul Thakur with the bat because the blows that he copped early on in the innings, I think any batsman would have looked to give away or play a rash
Yeah.
shot and give away his wicket. But
Mm.
the temperament that he showed throughout his knock and played with the tailenders after Rahane got out, and those 33 runs could might as well be very important in the context of the game. The follow on was saved. The lead was reduced from 250 200 to 173, and I think if you can get Australia out for less than 200, so 370, I think in England, I mean, fingers crossed. It's going to be difficult with the bowling lineup that Australia has, but India are still in it, and that is only because of the
Yeah,
partnership.
exactly. Yeah, I'd agree with you. India's still in it. It's not like India have been blown apart, but then we have to talk about Shardul Thakur. And first, let's talk about Ajinkya Rahane. You know, he was brilliant there. Once again, all credit to him. That stint at CSK, I think more than that, the domestic cricket really helped him. He's much more assured against spinners. He's getting on the ball. He's much more positive. I think people say take a break, go play domestic cricket. It'll really help you. It'll really teach you life, and it did. It has really definitely changed Ajinkya Rahane's game in totalities. Maybe help him to clear his game a lot more, clear all the clogs off his mind. And that's why sometimes you feel getting dropped is not a bad thing. You can go out there, churn out, and come back stronger. And that's what exactly Ajinkya Rahane did. And he's done him a world of good even in IPL and to play the knock in the finals of the IPL, to play some of the beautiful knocks in IPL and to come and do this in a clutch situation like this. You have to give credit to that. But yeah, Jen, you have to say luck favors the brave quite literally when Shardul Thakur's two catches were dropped and when he got out in the no ball. I mean, what not? He did everything possible, and Lord was having the luck with him. And that's where you have to say Shardul Thakur really showed if you have the fight in the dog, it's a fight in the dog which matters, not the size of the dog. So, and he showed what that really means.
Absolutely. I mean, in many ways, you'd have to say that India is still. You spoke about how India is not out of the ventilator, but if there were two players that you could say, or probably three, you have to take Siraj
Yeah.
as well. If there are three players that have kept them on that ventilator. If there are, then it has to be, the life support has to be Ajinkya Rahane, Shardul Thakur, and Siraj. I think for me, only those three players have turned up. Rest of them have really not raised their hands when we've required. And Jadeja too, I would say towards the late end, has done a very good job in curtailing the batters. But what's really
Oh, he
hurting
batted
India at this
brilliantly
point
as
in time
well,
is
Jaran. Let's
once
give him credit
again.
there. He scored a
Jadeja, I
brilliant
think
48.
Jadeja
Yeah,
provided the
he
momentum
did.
to the
Of
innings.
course, you cannot forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Correct. I mean, I just felt, but I think what's happened with India again and again is the same fundamental mistakes. And it's going to hurt them for these next, couple of days as well. If India survive till then, that's another question altogether. You've seen this happen so many times. I mean, the past WTC final as well. Just when India had a slight ray of hope, just like this day today, we would suddenly capitulate on the fourth day and then really end the game in that one session. So I think that's where you would have to say that getting the fundamentals wrong, getting the pitch wrong once again, and it's not the first time it's happened, right? I think it's about time that India takes responsibility up because it just seems like that first match wherever they play, they need a wake up call. I mean, we've always talked about how amazing this team is when it comes to comebacks, but at this point in time, you have to learn that champion teams don't really need. I mean, I wouldn't say they don't. They're not the ones who come back, but they're always the teams that take the initiative right ahead. Right? They grab the match by the scruff of the neck. Look at Australia, what they're doing. If they win the WTC, they've thoroughly deserved it. Throughout the WTC cycle, they've been a team that have stood up to challenges wherever they have gone, whether it be subcontinent or their home ground. So, out of these two teams, if there's one team that deserves to win this year, it's Australia, unfortunately for me. India has to really step up the game the next 2 days, especially tomorrow is going to be the vital day. And I hope not just these three players, but the others, the rest of the eight, also stand up because we need everyone to stand up. Australia has done that, and that's the reason why they're at the top of the game right now.
Absolutely agree with you because what Australia has done is they've done the basics very right. They've batted with discipline. They have not bowled too many bad balls. Even when partnerships were happening, the shoulders did not drop. They kept coming at India. They kept bowling the good balls. They kept channels very right. You do not see a lot of loose balls from them as much as Indians bowl. So anybody coming back to it, we have to talk about the way in which Australians bowl today. I mean, it could have easily been a position where you would have felt like, oh, two catches dropped. Now what? That partnership could have been easily a 160, 170, and that would have hurted Australia a lot more in terms of lead being very minimal. I would have still said Australia would have got a considerable amount of lead, but you don't want a lead to go under 100 at any point in the stage. And that means you really have to bat longer. Then on India will still be in the game a lot more. But now 170 odd lead, then going into that now with 123 for 4 at the end of day 3, you have to say, they'd say, even if you have to ball us out in the next 20, 30 runs, we are still in a commanding position because we know that you really had a tough time with us in the first innings. We can do it even better in the second innings with a pitch which is keeping up and low even more.
Yeah, exactly. And not to forget, I think if you include Australia's lead, they have already reached 294, and India only managed to score 296 in the first innings. So the game, I mean, nobody will say that India are in any sort of position of advantage or even a level field. Australia are the clear favorites, I think. To put it in the right manner, I think they already had one hand on the trophy yesterday, but today India has just picked up two of their fingers, so they just have three fingers on the trophy right now. So I think India will have to do a lot more, and especially like Jedin mentioned, I think he'll have to pick up the 6 wickets in the first session itself, because if you allow Australia to bat, if you allow them to bat farther than lunch, I think they can put on another 80 to 100 runs, and I think 80 to 100 runs over here is the most we can afford right now. 100 I think is still too much, because if you ask a team to chase 390, 394, it is going to be extremely difficult, especially when they were really struggling in the first innings. And also,
Yeah.
I think the Australian bowlers will be relatively fresher, and Indian bowlers have been on the field almost every day. I think not almost every day, they have been on the field every day. So they haven't really got the rest, 70 overs of batting and then back on the field. Whereas if you consider the Australian pacers, they are a lot fresher. And with Cameron Green playing that important role as the fourth seamer, I think they are not really relying on. I think the game was they are not relying on their ace
Makes
spinner,
sense.
that is Nathan Lyon. I think Nathan Lyon has not really stepped up. I mean, not really needed to step up. He really came in and took
Yeah,
Jadeja's wicket at a crucial juncture, because I think if Australia wouldn't have got Jadeja at that moment, or if Cameron Green wouldn't have pulled off that blinder of Rahane at 261 or 262, I think India would have been at a range of close to 100, 120 with the Australian team. But what is gone is gone. I think obviously the Australians have played really well. The Indians with the ball really erred in their line. But I think today in the second half,
yeah,
I think before tea and after tea, I think the discipline that they showed, it was commendable. Once again, you could see a few shoulders drop once Smith and Labuschagne were going about the business, because it looked like they were going to take the game away. And once again, I think Steven Smith, the world class player he is, I think that was one of the most ridiculous shots that I've seen
yeah.
in World Test Championships. Your team is in the commanding position. You are cruising with a 60 runs partnership. You have a considerable
But
lead
you
of
know what?
250 runs.
I'll just add to that. I don't mind them playing that shot at that point to see because they had enough amount of lead. They want to take the game a little more forward, and at that point, I say that shot really made a lot
But
of
Abel,
sense to me.
time is
It's just
not
that
really the issue, right? Because you saw Labuschagne play score only 5 runs of the next
yeah.
46
So
balls after he
even
got out.
there, I still think Australia was slightly more tentative today with the bat. I didn't see the pitch do a lot. It was just that going at 2 runs per over, especially when you have so many runs lead, it just does not make any sense for me. They could have played at a higher rate if you're thinking from Australian perspective. As so they could have played at under a 4 or 3. Maybe it would have been 160 odd for 4, 170 odd for 4 at the end of today's day play, and you would have possibly thrown India out of the game completely. You would have shut doors completely. Then there was no coming back for India. Even if India had to bat 5 sessions, India would not have really chased that down. So now batting at this rate means if a couple of wickets fall in the first 10 overs tomorrow, first 5 overs tomorrow, all of a sudden you feel like, oh my God, Australia are in a slight bit of trouble, especially when it comes to putting a very good total. I still think Australia in a commanding position, anything in excess of 300 is not going to be easy to be chased with that bowling attack. You really have to bat out of your skin to chase it down, which also it's not impossible to do it. So because over is a very high scoring ground, you've seen that time and time again. If you're really ready to apply yourself, play an aggressive brand of cricket, you can score runs in over. And today, Ajinkya showed what you can do. Shardul showed what you can do. In the first innings, you saw what Head did. I mean, pitch has not changed considerably. So I know that there are rough patches outside, left-handers off stump, and thankfully for India, there are not a lot of left-handers for Team India, and there's no left-arm spinners for Australia to ball that into India, or leg spinner to ball in the rough and take it in. So these are good factors for India. Even if Line has to ball there, it's going to be a negative line to a right-hander because of the fact there's only one left-arm bowler in the entire game, which is Mitchell Stark, and he's not created enough foot marks outside right-handers off him. So that's where India are in slightly dominant position in comparison with what Australia will have to face Jadeja. Even Alex said, KD will have to come and face Jadeja from that particular rough, which is not going to be easy for him. Even with Mitchell Stark, it's going to be the same. So that's where India will be slightly feeling a little more better. But yeah, talking about which, Jenna, what do you reckon about India? Now, what do India have to do right from here on? Because what India can do is maybe put Jadeja at one end, maybe dry up a lot of runs by making ball negative lines from outside leg stump of the right-handers and see how it goes for them. And if you look from the other perspective, India will need Shami and Siraj, both of them to strike early and pick up cluster of wickets. Now that's the only way in which India can soar their way back into this game.
Absolutely. I think what India needs to do is, I still believe that Australia are. There we go. I'll be very honest, Asal, I genuinely missed you guys, missed you yesterday. I was hoping someone would bring this point up, but we'll get to that. But yeah,
Come
I
on,
think for
guys.
me, you're
It's
right.
got
What
nothing
we
to
could
do
do
with
is
the
get
jersey. I think if a team is playing bad, you can't go on and blame me.
I don't know, Sandipani. There's something about it, isn't it? Because things. See, I'll tell you what, Sandipani. I'll just tell you this. On the first day, on the preview, you were wearing the India jersey. Things did not go well. That day, we did not do a live. Next day, things did not go well. That day, we did a live. You were not wearing the India jersey, and we did play well. So, it's all I'm saying.
So
It's all I'm
I
saying,
really
Sandipani.
clearly got the memo.
But
I'm not wearing the jersey anymore.
but yeah, I mean, I think for me, India has to make sure that they put their fast bowlers back in the dressing room, allow them to relax their legs a bit, and that can only happen if we can get them all out by tomorrow. I still believe India are a couple of wickets short. If India had ensured them, they lost 6 wickets by today, at least touch the tail, we would have had, it would have been slightly better. But then it's all right. I think all is not lost, as we've mentioned so far. What India has to do is able ensure that Australia, if they're batting, they lose time, because at this point in time is the enemy of India much more than anything else. Because draw is much better an option for India, is much better an option for India, because the pitch is not doing much. It's not going to be easy to dismiss them without. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. But yeah, I think at this point in time, India has to ensure that if Australia bats long, then they don't get many runs for it. Frustrate them, because except for maybe Manas Labuschagne, no other Australian batter right now who's going to come in likes to stay there long without scoring runs. So if you can dry up the runs, you're going to see mistakes like what Travis Head did. I mean, you cooped up Travis Head in a cage, and he responded in the best way possible for India, and that's what you have to do with Cameron Green. That's what you have to do with Alex Carey, and that's what you have to do with the fast bowlers. So I think that's the best way for India to go forward, and hope that Australia, lose the plot and give you away a couple of a bunch of wickets, and then India gets to bat. Aside from that, otherwise, what you have to try and do is try and replicate Adelaide under Virat Kohli, as he did in the first match as a full-time captain. If you can do that and do what England did against us, you never know. You never know. The game is not over yet, because remember what happened in Headingley can still happen, because the pitch is still a solid pitch to bat on if you can survive the new ball.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and also I think I'll slightly disagree with you on only one point, that I think time is still Australia's enemy. I think India should really clearly go for the win. I think draw is not an option with 6 sessions left, because even if Australia managed to play one and a half session
It
out,
depends if India gets 6 sessions or not, right?
I
If
mean,
India
they'll at
gets
least
five,
get to play four and a half session, and I don't think that with the batting lineup that they have, and
yeah.
they're going to attack. They are going to attack. They're not going to settle for a draw and then play out 120 overs
So
from
I think
whatever we know.
Australia would ideally like to give India 5 sessions, and India would like to face 4 sessions if India are going for a draw. If India are going for a win, India wouldn't mind 5, but it depends on the score they're chasing. If it is in excess of 400, then India would be very reluctant to go for that chase, because once it's above 400, whatever you say, it's not happening in Test cricket, guys. I mean, you have to beat all the odds to become the greatest Test playing nation, to be the World Test champion, to do that. And then, if you do that, then you are a deserving World Test champion. I mean, then there is no two ways about it. But then it's not really happened. And against this quality bowling attack, I mean, there's a first time for everything. But then, do you have a Rishabh Pant? Do you have players like that really to push the ball? I mean, that's where
I
you're going to
mean,
question
I mean,
yourself.
Abel, you have the leading run scorer of the IPL. You have a captain who has scored runs for fun in the past. You have Virat Kohli. You have Cheteshwar Pujara. You have an informed Rahane, and you have a Jadeja who is doing wonders with the bat. Also, Lord Shardul Thakur. So I think we can back the team to chase something in close to 350 to 400, because we don't have
Yeah, I
any
would
other
agree with
option.
that. I would say 380, 390 India would fancy, but 400 is a
Anything,
psychological bar.
yeah, anything less than that is an added advantage. If India can pick up six
Yeah,
wickets tomorrow in less than 100 runs, I think
yeah.
India are still in the
I
game.
think India should consider like a ODI game, play with that mindset as well. The only way if you have to chase 300 or 387, 380 plus is you have to play with that attacking mindset. India have chased on 300 plus numerous occasions, especially if you talk about Chennai Test match against England in 2008, where India chased on 387
And then
on
also,
a
I
turning
think
innings.
that is the only point that gives me hope, a slight ray of hope, because none of the players played a defensive game in the first innings. I mean, they got out cheaply, but Shubman Gill looked to attack. Rohit Sharma did not look to be in a shell at the start. He was going on perfectly well. Cheteshwar Pujara, for a start, he scored those 14 runs of some 18 deliveries. He was taking the attack on the bowlers, where Kohli was really trying to settle down at the other end. So I think India have played that. They are looking to be aggressive, and I think the only reason that they managed to get close to Australia, I mean, did not manage to get close to, but managed to get close to 300, scored 296, was because of the attacking approach. Because with the Australian bowling lineup and with the sudden misbehavior in the pitch, you will not be able to survive 120 overs. So you have to face the fact, and you have to set a target. You have to know that you have to get the runs down. there can't be a situation where you get into a shell like what Labuschagne did. I think getting in Umesh Yadav 3 overs before the like end of day's play was not the right call, because Labuschagne was at that point he had scored just 5 runs of 46 deliveries, and I think you could have kept Ravindra Jadeja, who was bowling that line. He was looking to cut an edge here and there, and we could have probably had Labuschagne tonight
Yeah.
as well.
So I think it again comes down to the very factor of how you ball. Yeah, Teju, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think so.
if
That's
it
where
was any other Indian
you
player,
look
it
at
was
what India
gone.
and Australia have done. If you look at India, you would have to say that, well, I mean, Australia rather, what they did right was they were able to ensure that they, cut that mean ensure that India's knife, that bowling attack, the new ball attack was blunted. They were able to survive. They only lost what, 1 wicket with the new ball, or I think two
Yeah.
wickets, right? No, 1 wicket with the new ball.
One week.
Labuschagne and David Warner survived that new ball, and that's the reason why they were able to build on it. So I think the threat on this pitch is a new ball. Once the ball becomes old, then it's a flat track. That's where Australia were able to do. That's what they've been doing this session as well. But India, what they did wrong is they lost 4 wickets for the new ball, and from there on, it was always going to be tough. Look at once the new ball was blunted. Ajinkya Rahane was able to play. Jadeja was able to play. Shardul Thakur was able to play. That's where India needs to survive the new ball. You have to grind down, put your foot down, and say, "I'm not going to shift from here. I'm not going back to the pavilion." Put a price on your wicket that's too heavy for the Australians to play. Wear their fast ballers down. I mean, India is going with 4 fast ballers and a spinner. So are Australia as well. All you have to do is ensure that the new ball bowlers don't get that bit of energy out there. Someone like even, and you have to also understand that someone like Cameron Green bats has a heavy duty with the bat as well. So he's going to be much more tired than a Shardul Thakur. So I think in that sense, India still have a slight advantage when you look at the amount of workload that these bowlers have, Australian bowlers compared to Indian bowlers. But what India has done is they've not made Australian bowlers work hard enough. And when you don't do that, you're going to always capitulate.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's about it from today. I think there's nothing much to talk about the day. We can only anticipate for what could possibly India do tomorrow and see how things go from there. I mean, we want to go deep into it and be optimistic as well. We have to keep a neutral perspective or a steady head, especially in terms of taking that up. I'll take some questions now before we end the live. Couple says this year's World Cup should be made last of Rhodes and Dravids and Kales. Yeah, I agree with you. Yesterday also you didn't mention this, and I'm totally in agreement with what you just mentioned, because I personally think this should be the last for this management. This year should be the last for this management, and then we should look for a new management, a new captain heading into the next cycle of WTC and also the World Cup preparation in T20 and in the 50 overs. Yeah, and he also says also this match depending on top four, otherwise we have lost the match. Yeah, absolutely agree with you. It depends on how Pujara, Virat, and Rohit plays. And Shubman, I don't
I need
give
you
him a lot of
need you need
expectation.
one of the batters to go on and score a big 100 out of the top four.
Absolutely,
And
you
then
have to.
probably you
You
can
have to.
include a Rahane as well, top five. I think one
Yeah,
has
you
to go
have
on
to.
and play
Absolutely. There's
huge
no two
innings, and
ways about
somebody
it.
has to play that anchor's
It's
role
not
and
tough. I
support.
think top seven, everybody will have to contribute really well in order for India to chase or make a game out of it, or at least stay in the competition by fighting it out. It's not like you don't want to capitulate for 150 in the second innings and look absolutely disgusting. So India will have to really believe that they can chase it down as well. You don't want India to really go morally down the moment the score goes in excess of 400, and then you are like, oh, we're just there to just buy time and for fight or be there for a competition. India will have to really bat their way out. And we have seen time and time again when a team posts like next to 400, other team really gives it up and other team capitulates for 150, 120. That's something which Indian fans also will not be taking it, and that'll be perceived in a very wrong manner by the whole of the country. Now already the
I'll
outrage
give
is
you
right
one more
there.
interesting stat, I think, which is not really depictive of how the game is going. Uh, Australia have scored, I think, in excess of 400 runs 10 times against India in the first innings, and I think Australia have won only once after scoring 400 in the first innings,
Is
because
it so?
yeah, that's what the stat I was seeing, because
Is it from a
most of
particular
the
year? Is it since
no,
a
no, no, no,
particular
no,
year?
no. It's not from a particular year.
I don't
First
think
innings,
that's the right
Australia scoring.
stat.
Yeah, no, that's the right stat, because Australia have won only once. They have drawn 4 to 5 times, and India has gone on to win 4 times.
Okay, this could be majority of this game could be in India, which I remember. I remember in
Yeah,
2013 there was
I
a
mean,
game,
you
so
have high
majority of
scoring
the
games
games
in
could be
India
in
and
India where
Australia
India would have
as well, where you
outbatted them.
have draws. When you have flat decks, you have draws in
Yeah,
Australia. So,
yeah.
but
No,
England as well. I think fourth innings. it's going to be. We have the game on our hands. I think we have a game on our
We
hands.
have, we
It's
have at
not.
least in these
It's
new
not. Yeah.
model in English pitches where it's better batting tracks. You have to say you're in with a chance. If India doesn't play for a draw, if India is going to play for a draw, I think India will capitulate very quickly. India should aim for the win to stay in the hunt. Because the moment you start playing defensive cricket, I think it's just a matter of time. There's going to be one ball, it's going to nick all the batters, and you're going to be in the dressing room very quickly. So India will have to play for the win. I hope the management thinks that way. Dravid, everybody says, okay, we are going to go for the win and possibly do something which India did in Adelaide in
Just send
2014.
Ravi Shastri to the dressing room tonight.
Yeah. Come on, guys. Let's not do it. रबाडा का खबाड़ा कर दे. वैसे स्टार को भेज दे वापस एडलीड.
And I saw a very interesting comment from Teju over there. What if Virat Kohli would have been caught sleeping the way
Yeah. I know.
Manas
I
was?
mean,
But I think credit to
I think
Manas
that's
because
just
I haven't
Labuschagne.
seen somebody
That is
do.
so on brand with Labuschagne. That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
so
yeah.
on brand
Totally.
with Labuschagne. Look at what he's done. Right? In between everything, Labuschagne has fallen, slipped. I mean, he slipped and fell in the circle, trying to, I don't know, save a dot ball. And then he was caught napping. It's just Labuschagne. I mean,
oh, he
he's the
got hit
same
so
guy
many
who asked
places.
Rohit Sharma when he was
He
batting.
got hit so many places. He was
I mean, he
down.
wasn't
He
the
was,
same guy who asked Rohit Sharma, what have you been doing during the what is it, bubble or oh, that's a
quarantine.
Lowy,
Yeah,
and all that is
yeah,
Labuschagne.
yeah.
That's just Labuschagne.
No, but I think I haven't seen somebody come up after a nap with so much determination and concentration. I think kudos to
Oh, that
Manas for
first
that.
over woke him up really. That ball which hit his
Yeah,
fingers
yeah.
all of a sudden.
Second
He was awake.
delivery right
Yeah.
away on the
Right
course.
away, yeah. And that's the best way to wake anybody up. He was then up and running. It's very important for India to get him out though tomorrow. Anyways, having said that, good night, all of you. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about the game. Hopefully, the game is in the balance and India have a target to chase, which we'll start believing. Yes, we can do it. And hopefully, not a lot of wickets are lost at the end of day 4. Let's see how it goes. Good night, all of you. Do not forget to download our app and play the Champions League final, which is tomorrow night, where Manchester City will be taking on Inter Milan. And at the same time, all the cricketing action. India will be back by July after this game, but other cricketing action. I don't know what's happening in the world. I have to check the schedule. I've not been following a lot.
UAE are playing against West Indies.
Yeah, you
This
are playing West Indies. Oh yes, let's
Yeah,
go.
Sri Lanka
My
just
favorite.
Sri
I'm watching
Lanka
the
just
series.
beat
There's
Afghanistan
also
2-1.
there's also Korea playing Papua New Guinea in a very interesting series, guys. Do check it out. It's very interesting. Nail biters are there. If you're bored, just check it out. We're gonna play all these games on Number 11.
Sure.
Good night, guys.
Are